But what I fear is that some on the left, in looking to use this tragedy as an opportunity to put the blanket on civil discourse in this country, are doing so because perhaps they want that time of apathy to come back. Perhaps they want to go back to a time where we all were distracted by whatever else was going on so that they could put through the objectionable changes and the objectionable type of laws and ideology they had, that they could put that across. I mean, look at how much has changed during the 20th century in terms of what we are willing to accept and not accept from our government. In a very incremental way, not all at once, but piece by piece, from Woodrow Wilson to Franklin Roosevelt and his New Deal, to Lyndon Johnson and his Great Society, to even Barack Obama and his Obamacare, liberals have put piece by piece by piece of their big government mentality in, and have done so largely because the American people didn't rise up against them until just recently. So, make no mistake, when the left tells you that we need to lower the level of discourse in this nation, they are doing so because they wish to recapture the advantage they used to have. They wish to recapture the time when they controlled virtually all of the news and analysis and thought that was out there in the media. They wish to return to a time when Americans largely didn't pay attention to what happened in Washington. They want to go back to a time when they could get away with whatever they wanted to get away with, and we wouldn't call them on it. The heightening of political discourse and the coarsening of it, if you will, is a reflection that Americans now realize what is going on. That we look at the last 100 years, many of us anyway, look at the last 100 years and we realize how devastating it has been. How the pieces of big government have been put together. And now we wish to go about deconstructing those pieces. But in order to do so, we have to wake up other Americans. Now, when you go to wake somebody up and they're in a sound sleep, you don't do it with a lullaby. You do it with a loud alarm clock. You do it by banging on pots and pans. You do it by blowing a horn or ringing a bell or playing a bugle. You do it with something loud because you have to break through that slumber. And that's what we on the right have done for the past 2 or 3 years. So make no mistake, we on the right, those of you in the Tea Party, those of you who are conservative pundits, bloggers, radio hosts, commentators, now is not the time to lower our tone. Do not play into the trap that the left is setting. It is not the time to lower our tone. Now make no mistake, I am not advocating violence, and if you're honest with yourself and you actually do the research, nobody on the right has advocated significant violence at any point. For crying out loud, Glenn Beck for the last year on his show has preached nonviolence. Every show he mentions it. But yet his name is being dragged through the mud with this Arizona situation. Now, it is true, we have mentioned that yes, there are Second Amendment possibilities for correcting a situation if we have a case where there's a tyrannical government or a government getting out of control, and that is true. The Constitution does provide for a nation to take its country back. Do I believe we're at that level yet? No, I don't. But do I believe that the election of Barack Obama was a possible gateway to that? Certainly it was. And that's why you saw the level of discourse increase. And I believe why you'll continue to do so. But nobody has gone out there and said that, well, you need to take aim at a particular politician or a particular person. We've never done that. And anyone who tells you that we have is a liar. We do not need to back off of what we've stated. We do not need to simmer down. Because to simmer down will bring about the apathy that caused the problems that we experienced through the 20th century. It's the apathy that brought on Social Security. It's the apathy that brought on the Great Society. It's the apathy that brought on all the social programs that are bankrupting us today. It's the apathy that allowed the federal government to go in and hold banks up and say, you have to loan money to these people who don't have the credentials to purchase a house, and then blame those same lenders when those people turned out to be bad loans, when those people turned out to be bad investments. And it all happened because we weren't paying attention, myself included. I'm no different than you. So what I'm saying is this: we all, on whatever side of the aisle we're on, we're all sickened and horrified by what happened yesterday. Our thoughts and our prayers are with that congresswoman and the family of the federal judge who passed and the 9-year-old girl. It's something that we wish we would never have to go through again. But just remember this. Sad as it is to remember, there have been many times throughout history that deranged sociopaths have listened to those voices in their head and have killed an innocent person. We think back to John Hinckley taking a shot at Ronald Reagan. He was not involved in any sort of political cause. What about Mark David Chapman? I believe that was his name, the man who assassinated John Lennon. What about Sirhan Sirhan or Squeaky Fromme or the Manson family in the late 60s? All of those examples I just gave you happened in many different periods in American history. The level of political discourse at each of those periods was quite different. But yet nobody in their right mind would blame the level of political discourse at those various points for those tragedies. Why was yesterday somehow different? It wasn't. This was another deranged sociopath. This was a John Hinckley. This was a Mark David Chapman. This was a Manson family member. This was not a political operative of any type. So what I'm saying to you in closing is this. To my friends on the right, stay the course. You need not apologize for anything. You are not responsible for yesterday. And you are on the side of right. Do not acquiesce to those who would tell you that you have gone too far, because you haven't. History will show that we are on the right side. You have not gone too far. In fact, we have not gone far enough. We must stay the course. We must continue to wake up the American people. And we cannot let the tragedies of yesterday and the sick, demented sociopath who perpetrated them tear apart the work and the achievements and the accomplishments that we in the right have made for the last 2 years. And I would challenge you tomorrow morning, when all of the pundits come back into the newspapers and the cable TV stations and whatever else, and you're going to hear this ratcheted up. I'm taping this on early Sunday evening right now, so tomorrow morning's Monday. You're going to see this really hit the fan in terms of the news cycle tomorrow about the idea that political discourse has to be lowered. When someone comes up to you and tells you that in the grocery store or at the gym or wherever you're at, I want you to stand up and challenge them. I want you to call them out on it. I want you to ask them, where's the connection between this demented sociopath who was listening to God knows what that was happening inside of his head? Where is the connection between him and the level of political discourse that we see today? There is not one. Stay the course, friends. We are right.